What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Coop's House. So on this episode, we're actually going to take a little detour away from some of our personal builds, and we have taken on a paint project for a friend of ours, this Cummins. So this truck is absolutely nasty. It's had a whole lot of performance work done to it, so it's absolutely insane. But he wanted to make it look a little bit better, get it back shiny, looking like it should look to match those performance upgrades. So he brought it to us to go ahead and take care of all the body work and all the paint and all that stuff. And we were thinking, well, we have an expansion project that we're kind of working on that we're going to talk about in a later video. So we kind of need help funding that a little bit. So we took this job on so we can go ahead and get this knocked out and hopefully get moving in that direction. So let's check this thing out.
Love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mind over everything. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. 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 Don't stop, stop, don't stop. And if you get in my way, you gonna feel the wrath. Gotta say it to my face while he's looking back. Mirror breaks after math. When I hate, I attack.
Alrighty, guys, so it's been several days, but we actually finally have the Dodge roughed in on bodywork. So we knew this thing actually had an appointment coming up for a day at the sound shop to have some sound system work done. So we actually just went ahead, got the guy to bring it over so we can get a head start on the bodywork, because the bodywork on this bed was going to be pretty extensive. There's just a whole lot, super involved, so it's just like the bed was really rough. So we just really wanted to go ahead and get a head start on that. So got it over here, got it roughed in. So now we're actually ready to get this thing in primer, because at this point we're just kind of running around chasing our tails, trying to do bodywork without actually shooting this thing with a guide coat to figure out where the low spots are exactly. So bodywork's not perfect, but it's pretty dang close. It's roughed in. Everything is a heck of a lot better than it was when it got here. So we're gonna go ahead and mix up some primer, get this thing shot so that it can make its deadline to the sound shop. All right, guys, so we got the bed in primer. Finally got 2 good wet coats of primer on here. So we're actually ready to pretty much shoot this thing with a guide coat, figure out where our low spots are. You can kind of see right here on camera. Bodywork's definitely not perfect, but like I said, I was doing what I could do and pretty much was just chasing my tail trying to get the bodywork right without actually shooting this thing with primer, getting guide coat on it, and figuring out exactly where those low spots start and end. But we're going to stop on this thing for a few days because it's getting ready to leave here, go to the sound shop and have a bunch of work done. And then when it comes back here, we'll go ahead and get it shot with a guide coat, get it blocked out, and get ready to knock out bodywork and get ready to get this thing in color. So pretty excited about seeing that. But yeah, we're going to take a break on this thing for a few days. It's going to get out of here. And when it comes back, we'll get back on it. Alrighty, guys. So I know we actually started filming on this Dodge when we actually started painting this thing or getting this thing ready to paint. We haven't really filmed since, but we have had a whole bunch of things going on. I think when we left off, we actually were filming, getting started on the body work. But as you guys can probably tell by looking at the bed back there, I'm actually about 20 hours into this thing now. So we actually got this thing roughed in initially and then sanded down, and we actually shot it with 2 good wet coats of filler primer, shot it with a guide coat, blocked it out, figured out where all of our problem areas were, went back and did another coat over all of those, and this bed is super, super slick now. So we're actually getting ready to go ahead and spot prime it, but we figured we'd go ahead and address all the other issues. So right here in this fender, we had a pretty good little cave in that we popped out, went ahead and did body work over that. Had a couple cab corners we had to pop in because there was a little bit of rust in the bottom, like on the extended cab portion. You guys know these Dodges. If you know anything about those, you know they're notorious for rusting. And so this was a statistic, you know, sort of. But anyway, so yeah, went ahead. I got this cab corner actually popped in right here. And I wanted to leave as much factory metal as possible. So I actually only used a small portion of the cab corner. So I'm going to show you guys kind of where we're at, what our body work looks like, how the cab corner is going, and then we're going to get ready to hit this thing with some primer. So let me show you guys where we're at. So yeah, there's been some pretty extensive body work done on this thing. We still have one cab corner left to pop in on the driver's side, so we're gonna go ahead and get that knocked out. And then we're gonna go ahead and get ready to feather out a couple places on the front where the paint is actually coming off. It's chipped all the way down to the metal, so I need to sand that out, feather it out. I'm gonna hit that with primer as well. So I have quite a bit of primer to spray, so we're gonna go ahead, get to work on the other cab corner, get that knocked out so we can get on some sanding and hopefully get some primer on this thing today and get ready to wrap this thing up. Okay, so as you guys saw, I went ahead, sanded down the hood with 80 grit, so I took all the cracks, chips, all that stuff out and got it taken all the way down to primer, sealer, wherever it had to be in order for all of that to be gone. So that's taken care of, and then I feathered it out with 180, so hood looks pretty good. Hood is pretty much ready for primer. Went ahead and where we patched the cab corners, went ahead and did body work over that as well as a couple other places on the bed, tailgate, things like that. So all of that's done, and we're pretty much ready for primer at this point, but I am exhausted. I've been at it all day long, so I think that I'm actually going to call it a night tonight at this point and get back out here tomorrow, get this thing taped off. That way we can shoot primer, and then that way we'll be ready for the final sand. So I'm going to call it a night tonight. I'll be back in the morning, and we'll get some primer on this thing. Alrighty, guys, so like I said last night, I'm back out here this morning getting this thing taped off and ready to shoot primer. As you guys can see, I'm actually doing this outside because it is primer, not paint, so I don't really care. And I have a freshly painted square body cab in the shop, so I really, really don't want to be spraying paint or primer or anything like that inside there to get on that. So out here taping this thing off, we're going to get some paper put on here, and then we're going to go ahead and get all these spots hit with primer, and we're going to spot prime this bed and everything so that we're actually ready for our final sand so we can get this thing sanded, painted, and get it ready to get out of here. So we're gonna get some paint, some paper and some tape put down, and then we're gonna get some primer spray. Alrighty guys, so we've reached the end of another episode of Coop's house. So we really had plans of actually having the whole process of prepping and painting this truck in one video, but we ended up having a whole bunch of work to do to this thing. We actually ended up replacing cab corners, a lower bedside, so had a whole bunch of work, and it's just running into a long video. So anyway, in this video, we actually got all the body work done on this Dodge for a friend of ours. I got this thing ready to paint. Everything's primed, blocked out, and we're to the point now where we actually can tape it off and spray it. But like I said, we're gonna call it for today. We appreciate you guys tuning into this episode, and make sure you guys like this video, talk to us in the comments, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notifications so you guys can catch all of our other builds, because we have a whole lot of cool stuff coming. But again, we appreciate it, and we'll catch you on the next one. Deuces.